Hi, this is Dan Buller, retired electronics engineer, sitting on the front deck of my houseboat again. Oh, it's a lovely day. It's Sunday. We may see some boat traffic. I want to talk about triangle waves and LT Spice. I was poking around on the web on YouTube and I found this video by LT Spice, which they're the big simulator guys. They're showing how you can get THD out of LT Spice, and they were showing a triangle wave versus a sine wave. Now, triangle waves are an interesting case because they're not a sine wave, but they are distorted sine waves. And I've already talked about square waves, and my chapter 2 of my book Distortion talks about triangle waves and square waves, and it evolves a triangle wave from 50% rise, 50% fall triangle wave, all the way to 100% rise, 0% fall. That's a ramp. And I show you how the formula works for that and how the harmonics work. What's interesting is that these guys at LT Spice, they tried to do this thing with these harmonics. So they looked at the harmonics with an FFT, and the FFT is absolutely true. Never believe that an FFT is an approximation. Fourier did not do all this work by hand. He didn't have Excel. He didn't do all that work by hand and then come up with a transform that was an approximation. The Fourier transform is 100% real, and the FFT is just a numerical method of getting through a Fourier transform quickly, and that's the beauty of FFT. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But LT Spice did this thing where they generated a triangle wave, and then they 50% rise, 50% fall, and they looked at the harmonics. And so for the fundamental, because the fundamental is a sine wave, everything is a sine wave, the fundamental was a sine wave at 0.573 volts in their simulation. And then there's no even harmonics, and so the second harmonic shows up at 0. The third harmonic shows up at an amplitude of 0.0637 volts. And the fourth harmonic shows up as 0 because no even harmonics. And that's because the people at LT Spice don't know this, but there's no even harmonics because it's symmetrical in time. A 50% rise fall triangle wave is symmetrical in time, just like a square wave. 50% duty cycle square wave is symmetrical in time. That's one of my great discoveries, and that became law 1. So the harmonics are depending on the area. And the area includes voltage and time. And so if it's symmetrical in voltage or in time, there's no even harmonics. And so a triangle wave, 50% rise, 50% fall, is symmetrical in time and voltage, and so there's no even harmonics. If it's asymmetrical in either one, you'll get even harmonics. But it's not that the even harmonics are created by asymmetry, it's that the symmetry cancels them out. So the even harmonics in one side of the wave are canceled by the even harmonics on the other side of the wave, either in voltage or in time. Okay, going on. The fifth harmonic has an amplitude of 0.0229 volts. The sixth harmonic has an amplitude of 0 because it's an even harmonic. The seventh harmonic has an amplitude of 0.0117 volts. The eighth harmonic has an amplitude of 0 because it's even. The ninth harmonic has an amplitude of 0.0071 volts. Now, when they showed these, they never said there was any relationship between the harmonics and the fundamental, because as I said, most people believe that harmonics are random. Harmonics are not random. Now, what I did in this thing was I need to normalize the fundamental to an amplitude of 1. So we normalize the amplitude of the fundamental to 1, And that's this column here, and I did this in numbers. I don't have Excel anymore. And like I said, you don't need Excel. If you don't have Excel and you don't want to do an FFT, you can still do some of this stuff in numbers or in whatever you use for numbers. So the amplitude of the fundamental is considered normalized to a value of 1. The second harmonic has an amplitude of 0. The third harmonic, relative to the LT Spice thing, is 0.11111692845 volts, or relative to the fundamental at 1. So 0.11111692845. The fourth harmonic is 0. The fifth harmonic has an amplitude, or relative amplitude, of 0.03996 whatever. The sixth harmonic has an amplitude of 0. The seventh harmonic has an amplitude of 0.02041888482, relative to the fundamental being a 1. The eighth harmonic has an amplitude of 0, and the ninth harmonic has an amplitude, relative amplitude of 0.012390925. Now, again, there may not seem to be a pattern here, but when I did this, I took David Hill Wilson's formula for a square wave, and I figured out what's going on with a triangle wave. The formula is, for a triangle wave, V harmonic is equal to the absolute value, that's the thing that David Hill Wilson forgot about, the absolute value of the sine of pi times the harmonic number times T rise over T total. So this is 50%, so 50% rise, 100%, so 50% plus 50%, 100%, divided by the harmonic number squared. And then I have a normalizing function in here, divided by the sine of pi times T rise over T total. So this is my formula, and I'll show you that it works. Again, I figured that out from David Hill Wilson's thing, and it took me quite a while, but I did get it. And I give that away freely. It's online. It's on YouTube and stuff. Okay, so I took what LT Spice did and I compared it to my formula. It took me a while to do this because can't see too good, but I pulled it off. So with the amplitude of 1, that's the normalized amplitude of 1, the second harmonic is 3.06162 E minus 17. That basically is 0, right? E minus 17. So that's 0. The third harmonic is 0.11111 because of harmonic squared. Remember, harmonic squared. So 3 times 3 is 9. 1 over 9 is 0.11111. Okay, so it really works out good. So let's compare that to what LT Spice did. LT Spice got a relative amplitude of 0.11111692845. They round a little bit, so they're off a little bit. So the value is actually 0.11111. Okay, the fourth harmonic is 0, or in this case it's 1.5 times 10 to the minus 17. That's pretty low. The fifth harmonic, in my estimation, is 0.04. In theirs, it was 0.0399. So I nailed it. I nailed it. The sixth harmonic is basically 0. The seventh harmonic is 0.020408, blah, blah, blah. Theirs is 0.020418, blah, blah, blah. So I nailed it. I nailed it. The eighth harmonic is 0. Nothing. It's times 10 to the minus 18th. That's a pretty small number. And the ninth harmonic, in my estimation, is 0.012345679. Theirs is 0.00204 01239, blah, blah, blah. So I nailed it. So I have a formula that predicts the amplitudes of the harmonics of a triangle wave based on T rise over T total. They didn't even mention it. And I'll give you the link to their video. They didn't even mention it. So this formula is based off of David Hall Wilson's formula for square waves. And oh, by the way, I found this online. This is cool. David Hall Wilson, as I mentioned, died at age 49. And here's his gravestone. And as it says, he actually was the curator for the Museum of Synthesizers in New Hampshire. So I wish I'd known David Hall Wilson. He seemed like a nice guy, a pretty knowledgeable guy. But I can't name these things for him because he was wrong. He missed the absolute function in the square wave formula for predicting the harmonics of a square wave. But he got everything else right, so I gave him that, and I mentioned his name very often. You know, I think he was a great guy, or was a great guy. Sorry that he died so young. So, my formula, which is based off David Hall Wilson's formula, predicts the amplitude of the harmonics of a triangle wave. LT Spice didn't even know that there was such a thing. They didn't realize harmonics are not random. Harmonics are predictable. Predictable by formulas that I came up with, and David Hall Wilson, he really set the standard for it, but I followed his lead and came up with formulas for triangle waves and for distorted sine waves. So that's the Bowler harmonic solution. So the amplitudes of the harmonics are not random, and the FFT is not an approximation. The FFT is exactly right. So the amplitudes of the harmonics for any kind of distortion can be predicted by my formula, the Bowler harmonic solution. And I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to make sure that people leave it alone, don't touch it, and if they try to steal it, I'm going to go after them with my copyright. And I can sue the hell out of these people. Yeah, it's Sunday, they're fishing today. So, oh, there's sailboat, okay. That's cool. It's a wonderful day, and they're going by. And I would wave, but I'm not looking that way, so. A lot of boaters out today, not me. I'm done going out. So I'm going to protect my my discoveries here, and I'm going to do that to prevent other people from stealing them. Kind of like Einstein. This was a clip from Family Guy.
Peter, a lot of creative people had mindless jobs. Michelangelo worked in a marble quarry. Herman Melville was a customs agent. Albert Einstein worked for the patent office.
And what is it you want to patent, Herr Smith?
I call it Smith's theory of relativity.
Hey, look at this.
What?
My stuff's going to be named for me. I'll do what I can. These people, LT Spice, everybody out there, they're wrong. They are wrong about harmonics. They're wrong about electronics. They're wrong about physics. These are not just laws of electronics. They're laws of physics. And I know exactly how harmonics work. Nobody else in the world does, except you. Pay attention. You'll know how it works. Okay, so once again from the river, this Dan Bullard. See ya.